Hi guys, welcome. Hello. All right, so we kept having technical difficulties and I got dropped out of this again right at the very end. So, but I am back and that was a very long hearing and Josh Duggar is being released to a third party custodian. So, what they're going to have to do is a lot, and I'm kind of shocked, but not really. I could tell kind of at a point in time that the judge sort of was going that direction, but she is releasing him to third-party custodians to basically be in charge of taking care of him. And I was actually booted right after they started talking. People kept getting dropped from it. So I don't know what was going on, but there was like 77 people in there at one point, and the system kept dropping people out. They were having technical issues the entire time. But yeah, he has to have like a GPS home confinement system on him. And I didn't get all the conditions, and I'll get those all together. But I think like obviously that's the reality of it is sucky, but I think what you might want to know are the details of what was in this hearing, which were insane. So I haven't even had a chance to like think about what I was listening to because I took like 12 pages of notes. I was listening so intently. I was trying to like pay attention. Yeah, I didn't tell anyone anything. I was trying to basically just listen. So the Department of Homeland Security. So, okay, I don't even know where to start here. I'm overwhelmed. It's hard to sit through testimony of seasoned Homeland Security investigators and talk about what they were looking at when they found what they found on his computer. And man, I was like disassociating. I don't know if you can do that. I was trying to like very much disassociated from what he looked at, but it was bad, you guys. Like, it was bad. I've never listened to testimony so disturbing. Amy Duggar King. Oh, hold on a second. Hello? No, I'm actually live. Hi. No, what's here? Hold on. You guys, 1 second. Okay. What is Okay, sorry. Someone gave me a call to let me know all the details. So here are the conditions of his release. He is going to be in the Reber's possession. The family was Maria, and I can't remember what the guy's name was. He cannot have access to the internet. He cannot have a phone. He can see his children whenever he wants, but Anna has to be present at any time the children are with him. He will have an ankle monitor on him. He cannot look at any images that are of any kind. They have a password protected internet at their house, and they cannot, if he asks for the password, that's a violation of probation. So what this family is going to have to do is so it's obscene to me what Jim Bob Duggar has asked this couple to do for him. But basically, he has convinced this couple from church who don't really even know Josh to like take him into their home, and they have a very traditional relationship, to the extent that the father of this family doesn't allow his wife to be unsupervised around men. That was weird. And he has a 22-year-old daughter that's in the house with them. And the wife has never even had a conversation with him privately. And she couldn't even say a matter of factly whether or not she actually thought that she would feel okay being around him privately. Nor would she leave her 22-year-old daughter with Josh alone. So there's so much here to unpack. But he can't live with his children. She was very clear that he cannot go back to the house that he was at. He cannot. She did confirm that they're living in that guest house on the property. He cannot live with Anna. He cannot live with his children. He cannot be around minor children. He can only be around his kids and only with Anna in the room. So her concern with this family is that they have a lot of firearms, and the judge at one point was very, very concerned because she wants all of those removed from the home, because she specifically said, like, I don't want Mr. Duggar getting into a situation with one of these. I think she's concerned that Josh could potentially try to do something to himself, though she didn't outright say that. That was kind of like what the implication was. So they have to remove all of them from the house. And their daughter does piano lessons, and their daughter's not going to be able to do any sort of piano lessons in the home with minors. So let's talk about what actually the government has against him, because he's going to be on an ankle monitor, and he is going to be with this family. And I don't know how he would have to pull a Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I really don't know that there's going to be a flight risk here. She was very clear that if he violates even a moment, and she was very concerned about the traditionalness of their, she brought up stuff about the church. Like, she was very specific. Like, if there's a violation, you're not going to your husband. You're not going to your elders. You're not talking to Jim Bob Duggar. They were very, very worried about Jim Bob Duggar's influence in this, like very worried. Basically saying, like, you're not going to tell Jim Bob before you tell us. If he does something, you are calling probation. They kind of felt like Jim Bob, there seemed to be some sort of implication that they were doing this out of loyalty, you know? Anyways. So if there's any question on whether or not Jim Bob Duggar is involved in his defense and also involved in this case, that was squashed with what I just watched today, because Jim Bob Duggar is the one that's doing stuff with the lawyers, and he's also the one that is convincing friends that don't even know Josh to take Josh into their home. That was like the thing that I couldn't even understand. Like the amount of responsibility Jim Bob is asking his friends to take is so severe. I can't even understand like how anyone could ask a friend to even remotely consider that. And the guy that they're going to the house of does like ministry for prisoners. So anyways, let's talk about what the actual evidence was, because I've got so much here that we should talk about. So first and foremost, please be mindful of the terminology that you are using in this chat. Somehow this chat is already restricted, and I don't know why. It should not be restricted because I literally have not said a word. Okay. So this case started in May. And so how did it happen? The government basically testified that in May of 2019, there was this officer that was in, I can't remember where they said it was, whether it was in I think it was in Fayetteville, that noticed that there was some people doing some peer-to-peer sharing on BitTorrent, and that they had hashed, which is this way that they can specifically determine, like they can find content that's very terrible, CASM content. They flag it, they hash it, and then they can track to see where it's moving to and how it's going. I think we talked about that. That's basically how he got caught. So they noticed that there was someone in Arkansas in that area that was downloading all of this stuff. And within like a couple days, they were able to determine where it was all located and who it was going to. So they determined based on like they said like the internet provider and the IP address and everything, that it was Josh that was doing this. So they figured it out in May of 2019, and then once that officer got information that it was him, she sent that to HSI, because obviously they had to get involved at that point. And then they had to do some forensics to figure out, like, before they executed a search, because locating the IP is only like part of it. They have to actually determine like who this belongs to and where it's located, because they were getting it pinged off of different areas. So they said it took them a while to figure out exact locations. But then when they finally did figure it out, they first thought that it was located in a home that was like right adjacent to his car lot. And I'm not sure if that was the house that the Caldwells were living in at the time or not. I thought it might be, but I'm not sure. And they talked to the couple and they didn't have the same internet provider. The internet provider that they were using, it was like Ozarks Go or something like that. So they ended up getting to, after a while, so they go on the 31st to the house that's next to the property. And then after doing some more like geolocating, they actually figure out that it was right next to, so they were just a little bit off. And they noticed that the car lot, which was literally sitting right by that house, was the one that had the Ozarks Go. So they say that basically what happened was they finally get to raid, right? They go there to look there. And so actually, no, that's not how they figured it out. I'm so jumbled. So basically what happens is when they find out that the couple doesn't have that, they end up sending an undercover officer to Josh's car lot. And the officer like is pretending to do like some transactions. And at some point while they're doing all of these transactions, they're able to uncover some information from the owners that helps them determine that it was this location based on the internet provider. So based on whatever they found with the guy that went in as the undercover, they were able to get the address adjusted and then do the search at the property where Josh was working. So he says that when they get there, Josh was there with like 2 other people, and they told him that they were there not to arrest him. They were just looking for some illegal content on the internet, and they didn't have any sort of identifying like at all that would have told them like, this is what you're looking for, this is what we're here for. They said they showed him like a search and seizure thing, and then they basically, he took his phone out and he said, I want to call my attorney. And they said, actually, we're here for that phone. And so when they were there, they took a phone, they took a MacBook, and they took an HP desktop. So anyways, they were concerned about getting the phone because they didn't want him to, the HSI guy said that like they've done these warrants before, and they'll like walk in and people are like taking hammers to their electronics, or like putting water, or, you know, trying to do something to destroy their hard drives. So they were concerned that, you know, if Josh even touched his phone, he might be trying to destroy evidence. So anyways, after they like start looking around, Josh like doesn't go anywhere. They told him that he wasn't under arrest, but he stayed around. And they said that they started labeling evidence. They said Josh was not guarded during this entire time. Basically, what they end up finding is that so this was the part where like my mouth dropped. So after they've done the seizure and they're just wrapping up, they actually like talk to Josh, and they're like, the agent said like, can we talk in the car? And they said literally once they got into the vehicle, the first thing out of Josh's mouth was the first thing out of his mouth was, he spontaneously asked the agents with no prompting, is someone downloading CP? What is this about? He said, is someone downloading CP? No one had brought up anything to him about this. It wasn't on any like search and seizure. It wasn't on any of their there was no indication he should have known why they were there or what they were looking for. All they said that they were looking for was things on the internet, on like illegal content on the internet. And so he's like, is someone downloading CP? And they said at that point, when he made that admission, they read him his Miranda rights, and then he wasn't under arrest, but they said that they ended up taking a iPhone, an HP, and they said that he had had this HP since 2018. All of his stuff was password protected. They determined that the computer was his because the home screen on the computer was a photo of him with Anna and the kids. They had a MacBook, which he acknowledged that he owned, but he did say that other people at his work could be potentially connected to this. So they also asked him some questions during this. They asked him if he was familiar with peer-to-peer networks. And he said he was familiar with them. So this is how I was telling you about how they have these peer-to-peer networks that they can share files with on the dark web. And he was on the dark web, you guys. He also had a Tor browser on his HP. But this is the crazy part. He's so sophisticated in his technology. He understands how to do things that, you know, that thing that they talk about with the Covenant Eyes. So they have this like app that is your accountability, and it looks like tells what every single tells you what everyone's looking at, and then it sends a report to that person if you go to questionable websites. So Tor browser, that's the dark web. It's just like it's a downloaded, like it's the Onion. It's basically the dark web. I can't explain it anything differently. It's the dark web. It's the browser for the dark web. So they asked him about torrent files, and he wouldn't answer. So they said, like, do you have torrent files? And he was like, he didn't want to answer about them. He wouldn't answer questions about if he knew about downloading and sharing files. Now, here's the thing, what they did. I have so many notes, and I'm trying to just like go off of like my memory here, is that Josh, they're alleging that about a day before he does so this is what they're alleging. They allege that on May 13th, after they conduct all of their forensics, they determined that Josh put a Linux partition, which is basically like a hard drive. It's a way to split your hard drive, they said. So it's like a way for you to add like where your computer effectively becomes like two computers. And so on one side, he could still be on the business and have like the Covenant eyes, where anything he would do on this side of it would be sent to Anna. But on the Linux partition, the Covenant eyes can't see. And that's where he put the Tor browser, the dark web stuff, and that's where he was downloading all of this stuff. So he somehow figured out a way to split his computer, and the password for the partition was the only password that he uses. It's the same password he uses for his bank and for his Instagram account. So they're like, the password is Josh's password, and he sets up this partition so that his wife cannot figure out that he's looking at this stuff. So Covenant eyes could not be detected. And it says basically how the HSI investigator described it as is he said, one side cannot see what the other side is doing. So he had downloaded on the one side a Tor browser, which is the dark web, and it had BitTorrent downloaded on it. And this on that side is where they found all of the stuff. Now, mind you, when they were going there to look, they got a hit that he had downloaded a 2-minute video. And this part is really disturbing, you guys. He had downloaded a 2-minute video of girls that were aged 7 to 9. And in the video, there was a man essaying one of the girls. So that was the specific content that pinged them to get them to look. But what they found when they actually got onto his computer was way worse. So basically how it all plays out is he puts the Linux partition on his computer on May 13th. He puts the Tor browser over there on that day. He then gets so they have a timeline. At 4:14 on May 14th, his iPhone takes a photo of a car at the lot. At 4:20, this is how they determine that he's the one doing this. At 4:20, his iPhone was utilized to take a picture of his HP computer screen. At 4:49, he sent a text to someone that said, "I'm stuck here. I'm still not free yet." At 4:48 on May 14th, he accessed the Tor browser used to download images, videos, and he downloaded images and videos of SA, like the R word. Okay. From 5:28 to 5:38, he accesses BitTorrent and he downloads 2 movies. At 5:46, he's there. From 5:41 to 5:46, he's accessing the browser again and he's file sharing. At 5:42, the Little Rock Police Department cues in that he's downloading stuff. And then he sends a text message to someone at 5:42. In the middle of all of this stuff, he's on his iPhone sending a text message that says, "I have your Versa." I'm thinking their Visa. "I have your Visa down here for Carlin, by the way, and at my car lot." They're not saying like who these text messages are for. And then on May 15th, the following day, so they're basically saying like he's on his phone and then he's on his computer and then he's on his phone and then he's on his computer. And it's like showing you that he's like the person that's in this, that he's the person that's physically there. And at 11:15 the next day, he sends a text message that says, "I'm at the car lot." At 11:30 a.m., he at the car lot, he sends the text at 11:15. At 11:30, he's bookmarking Tor onto the partition. At 11:35, from 11:35 to 11:41, he does 3 videos, and one is with a 14-year-old. Then they have at 3:20, the phone geolocates to the lot. His phone geolocates a lot. At 3:39, he takes a photo of a car accident that happens right outside the car lot. And they're able to actually confirm with the state troopers that car accident happens. At 3:35, he sends a message to pray for Mark. At 5:08, he sends a text message that says, "I'm still here." And then at 5:22, he downloads a file called Play Toy Suite from Torrent. And then at 5:25, he downloaded DD Torrent. It's called Daisy Destructions. And it's the most severe top 5 files that this HSI investigator agent has seen in 1,000 cases. He said it was the top 5 worst. It had children from 18 months to 12 years old. And with all of these children being CS'd in this. It was a large file. And so Daisy's Destruction, it's not a site. It's not a website. It's actually a file that he downloads. And he then goes at 5:25, while he's downloading the Daisy's Destruction on one side, he jumps over to the other side, on the other side of the partition. And he goes on to Home Advisor and he puts his username of Joshua into the autofill and he goes to this website for a construction company. And then the investigators contact the construction company and they said, "Oh yeah, we asked Josh to write a review for us and we did work for him." So he's downloading Daisy's Destruction and then at the same time, he's writing a review. Then after he writes the review, he goes back and downloads again Daisy's Destruction. Then at 5:32, he downloads more. 5:41, downloads more. 5:48, he sends a text message saying that he still has customers and he's not going to be home yet. And then at 6:45, it's downloaded by the Little Rock police report or police officers like queuing again. And at 6:51, his iPhone takes 2 pictures of like the desk. Like it's like his phone was like taking like pictures. And then on May 16th, he downloads another picture and another thing off this. And then he had multiple videos, unzipped them, and had viewed them. So when they finally get everything figured out and they get all of it sorted through and they're determining that it was him, they also do forensics on his computer. So they're able to determine that he's sitting there because he's like, on one side, he's doing the Home Advisor stuff while he's downloading Daisy's Destruction, which contains CSAM of toddlers. The prosecutor or the U.S. attorney kept saying toddlers like over and over and over again, trying to like impress that into the court. And he had over 200 CSAMs deleted in an unallocated space of minors involved in SA and CSA. So he had deleted over 200 images and videos, which they said that he was basically downloading, viewing, and deleting over and over and over and over again. So, long story short, he wasn't a flight risk. He cooperated with them for the most part. The reason why he turned himself in was because the Department of Homeland Security was surveilling him, and they let him know that his arrest was imminent, and they contacted him and said, "We're outside of your house. You're going to drive down to the police department right now, and you're going to turn yourself in." I guess HSI did not want to scare the children. That was the decision of HSI. They wanted him to go peacefully so that he didn't have to scare his kids. So it's, I mean, the probation officer said that she didn't want him out. The state didn't want, or the federal government didn't want him out. But the judge thinks that he is not a flight risk, and the judge thinks that because he hasn't done anything recently and he didn't get any trouble, that he's not a danger to anyone, but he's a danger to kids. It felt very confusing listening to her give like her rendition of as to why she was allowing him to do this. But she said it was like a toss-up and she was going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I was like, I cannot believe I already said this, Robin. So I already said what everything. So someone said he can get unlimited visits with his kids. Yes, I already shared what that was at the beginning. So the friends that are going to be taking him are the Reebers, and they are friends from the church, and they're also fundamentalists that have a very like conservative family. And if you go all the way back to this, you'll notice that I talk about that in the very beginning. So, I feel like the judge thinks in this respect that his fame will help him stay in line. And I don't know about that. I mean, I can't believe that this couple wants to take on this responsibility. And it's wild to me because the woman, Maria, has never had a conversation with him. And yes, the kids can have like unlimited visits with him, but they can't sleep overnight. It's not like he can live there. It's not like Anna and them can be over there all the time. These people have lives. I think the access to the kids, as long as Anna and the custodian is around, I think will be fine, honestly, because he's not allowed to be alone with them. And the custodian has to be there too. So basically how the custodian works is the custodian's with him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The judge wanted to know if they were getting paid or if there was incentives from Jim Bob. There was a lot of questions about that. And they were on record saying no. And do I trust him around the kid? The custodians, all I can assume is that these custodians were told point blank by the judge that this was a huge responsibility and that if they screwed up and she found out about it, like they can, I think she said something to them like, you know, if I find out that you're not telling me and you're conferring with Jim Bob or the elders, that's going to be a problem. If I find out that he's getting access to things and you're not telling me, that's going to be a problem. So that's the main issue. And she said that the minimum for one of the charges is mandatory minimum for one of the charges is 5 years. And then the other one is 20. So it's like he could be in jail minimum 25 years once this is all out. And if they go to trial. Now, it sounds like they're going to try to plead, like, it sounds like they're going to try to suppress evidence. Like, I can tell that his defense attorney is already going to try to go the route of an illegal warrant or not having proper warrants, because he was talking about how did they have the right to be accessing and looking at this data? Was there reasons why they should have been looking at him? Did they have the proper warrants to do this? So I feel like they're going to try to go off of technicalities. And then really the only people that were like, they said that he didn't cooperate. He wouldn't even tell them like who was working at his business, but it's mostly, from my understanding, his brothers. So it's like, is he going to pin this on his brothers? Like, nobody that has this level of, and if you talk to anyone, and I've talked to a lot of people, Josh is the tech. He's the techie guy. He is the guy that knows everything about computers and videos, and he knows everything about building computers and the internet. He has ways to get around everything. And what I learned today more than anything is that Josh Duggar will take great lengths to conceal what it is that he does so that he doesn't, so nobody knows what he does, which tells me that he knows what he's doing is wrong. And the government in this place is stating that he has showed evidence that he's escalating in his, they're basically saying he's shown evidence since he was like 15 years old, his attractions, and that hasn't changed. And the fact that he's downloading the stuff proves that he still is. And that's a huge issue because that's like, you can't reform that. They're just allowing him to get better at hiding things. So he can't go anywhere. He can't go anywhere. That was one of the first things she said. Like, he's not allowed to leave. Sorry, there's so many pages here. Like, he's not allowed to leave. He has to have an ankle monitor on him. He can't have access to the internet. He can see the kids whenever he wants, but Anna has to be there. He has to have an ankle bracelet on. He can't have a phone or the internet. He has to be with the Reapers all the time. And they said this could take more than 6 months to get fully resolved. Anna needs a drink, you guys said. So yeah, this has been one of those days where my brain's tired. But yeah, Josh is being let out. I'm shocked. Oh, so she said this, like, the high profile life of your admitted past conduct, your public admissions of doing things in the past concerns the court. The age of your sisters at the time connected to the age of the videos that you were watching concerns the court. You've publicly admitted to having issues with this specific issue on the internet, concerns the court. The children that he's viewing on the internet are close to the age of his own kids, his own nieces and nephews, and that she has to protect those kids by not allowing him to live with them. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, she said that they proved that he's not a danger. And I'm like, how did you prove that he's not a danger? I don't get it. How did you prove that? How did you prove that he's not a flight risk? You didn't. If I learned anything today is just the lengths that Jim Bob Duggar will go to protect his son. I have never heard such graphic testimony from anyone about what he was looking at. I can't even digest like how they described it. It's so disturbing. So people are all screaming that the judge was paid off. I don't know about that. This is a federal judge. That's a big allegation. I would never want to make some sort of allegation like that, but you guys are entitled to feel whatever you want. I will never say something like that. long story short, I do think that the government has a really good case against Josh. I feel like the due diligence that they did and the context of this case and how much evidence that they have and how much evidence that they have that was found on his computer. It's weird too, right? Because this reminds me of the Todd Chrisley case where they're like not arguing what was found. They're just arguing how it was obtained. Like it's like they're almost going to try to do this on a technicality. Oh, you found that? Well, you got it wrong. Like you didn't take the proper channels to obtain this. Like I feel like that's the direction it's going to go. I feel like they're going to try to say, oh, you got this on a bunk warrant, or you didn't have the authority to look that, or how do you know that that was Josh? Daisy's Destruction was the name of the file. It was a big file, I guess. So why only 2 counts is because they look at, it's not per thing that you download, it's per crime. So if the crime started on May 13th and it ended on May 16th and they didn't monitor him beyond that, which was confusing to me. I don't know what happened with him at that point where he was like, I shouldn't be doing this. But long story short, 1 count, it's for 1 crime. So it doesn't matter how many images he had. It's like they're only looking at 1 crime. But the 1 count carries such a high rate of like high penalty. And they said that the possession one is so severe because he possessed these images and these videos of toddlers for like days. And that was like an extenuating circumstance to the charges, was the severity. So, and you guys, Josh Duggar was laughing. He laughed. He laughed with the judge. He was laughing. He was smirking. He was not taking this seriously. Like, I feel like Josh thinks he's going to get off. And I feel like the judge today did society a huge disservice by allowing him out. I feel like Josh was reinforced today by being told that he met the burden. But she also said the burden was very low. She said the burden is very low for you to meet right now. So I'm like, they didn't have to prove very much to let him out. She's like, this is not the hearing. This is not the government. This is not the case. This is for bail. So the bar is low to let him out. All he has to do is prove that he's not going to be a flight risk and that he's not going to hurt people. And as long as they can control him, they feel like they can keep him away from kids. Yeah, he was for sure laughing. They have a very solid case with very solid evidence. The amount of forensics that are in this that pinpoint Josh exactly to where he was when these images were being downloaded, to the extent of the passwords, to the extent of he's sending an email and then he's over here on one side of the partition and then 2 minutes later he's on this side of the partition. Like, he's clearly the person at this computer. He's clearly the one that's using all of these things. And he's clearly the only person that has the skill, the technical skills to be able to even install a partition. They were even talking about how complex of like how technologically savvy you have to be in order to even understand how to do some of the things that he was doing. Like, they were like, your average user would have no idea how to do half of the stuff that he was doing, which tells the court, and she said that, she was like, which tells the court the lengths that you will take in order to conceal and cover up your crimes. Like, he was specifically trying to withhold information from his wife because he didn't want Anna to see what he was doing. So he had to build a workaround so that he could do what he wanted to do to get what he wanted to get so that Anna wouldn't see it. And that to me is like, Anna, if you are listening to me, you can't ignore this anymore. Like, you cannot ignore this. How do you even think in your brain that anyone else did this but him? How in your mind could you even fathom that this is okay? If I were Anna, I would be out the door. But here's the thing about Anna. A lot of people are saying that she's a victim in this cult. But I think it's a lot more complex. Yes, there are aspects that are the cult, but there are also aspects of Anna that I think keep her there that are not about this cult. I think that if you look at the totality of where Anna comes from and where she is today, she has a lot to lose by leaving. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Anna grew up in poverty. And she grew up with a father that did in a trailer where 8 siblings lived in a tiny single wide all together. And her dad was a volunteer mission, did volunteer prison stuff. And he was a chaplain for free. Like, she grew up with no money. She grew up with nothing. So Anna is, in a lot of ways, and I talked to someone who actually knows Anna and Priscilla today. One of Priscilla's friends actually reached out to me, and they said that for Anna, this was a way out of that poverty. And also, they feel like in some ways they picked Anna's family because her dad has that prison background, because he does the prison missionary, the prison ministry. So they pick him because they're not going to be upset with Josh having this background, because they're used to dealing with people that have troubled background. And then the trade-off for Anna's father is that they're rich. So Anna moves out of poverty and into a affluent family, which is very rare in that world. No, Priscilla is Anna's sister. So her parents still live in this tiny mobile home in a very poor area of Florida. So if she were going to go back, and then not to mention her brother, Nathan, and Nuri are living in a trailer or in an RV that's on that property. So it's, for this to work for Anna, she would be giving up a lifestyle. Even if she's living in the guest house of the Duggars, she's still living 10 times better than she would be living if she went back to her parents. And I think in some ways that's a motivating factor for her. Like, how do I leave this? How do I leave this money? You know, the Duggars are millionaires. And I also think that Anna likes almost like this martyrdom in a way that she gets from this. Several of the family members were at the court hearing. A lot of them were using code names though, you know, but I saw Jill and Amy there for sure. But I feel like if you want to say that Anna's a victim, you also can't negate what she's not seeing. And I think you can't just say that she's a victim and ignore what she's put her children through and ignore what her children are living through right now. You can't say she's a victim while she's smart enough to know so many things. She's smart enough to do so many things, but she's staying despite all of these glaring red flags. She doesn't have an education. I understand that. But there's a lot of women that don't have educations. I feel like we do a huge disservice to her when we say that she's stuck, because she's not stuck. I think we do a huge disservice to her when you say that she can't leave, because that just reinforces that she can't leave. People can leave this situation, and they do leave this situation every single day. Women leave this world every single day. She's not stuck. She can leave. It's just that it's going to be hard, right? It's hard. And she's in a marriage and in a relationship where her husband demands that he put her above her children. And she's proven time and time again to me that she's willing to put her husband before the safety of her kids over and over and over again. One book deal could set her free for sure. And she can get an education. Exactly. She can get an education. There are women that leave abusive husbands all over this world. Okay? There are women that are refugees from some of the worst places in this world that still manage to make it work. If she wants to make it work, she can make it work. No. Oh, someone said, wait, there's a GoFundMe for Anna. She doesn't. I feel like the last thing you want to do for Anna is do a GoFundMe. Like, this is not the public's responsibility to help Anna. Anna needs to figure this out by herself. Anna needs to stop relying on everyone else. Anna needs to take steps for Anna. It shouldn't be about the public bailing her out of this. This is not the public's responsibility, in my opinion, to pay for her. There are resources for women that leave these kinds of situations. But at the end of the day, I don't know if they actually set the bail amount or if they just released him on conditions. I don't think there was a bail amount. Federal cases don't generally, like a lot of times don't have bail amounts. They just do these massive conditions. How would Josh pay? He doesn't have a bail amount. He was released on conditions. So it's like he's released given all of these conditions. That's pretty standard in the government or federal government. The bail amounts aren't typically what are set on the state level. So bond hearings for that is sending love to you. Oh, thank you, Chris, Melissa. And thank you for empowering remarks about Anna if she can grow. Yeah, I think instead of listening and saying Anna is stuck, I think you guys, we need to have this conversation of Anna can leave and Anna can do what's right. Anna can get an education. Anna could go to a shelter. Anna could use resources from local community activists or from women's groups that will help. There are so many nonprofits that are willing to help women that are in this exact same situation that she could utilize if she needed help. She has a sister who is wealthy beyond belief that I'm pretty sure would help her land on her feet if she needed help. She has options. She just needs to do more. She has resources that many of you can't even dream of. She has a sister who is so wealthy, she has a private plane. And I'm not even talking about like a little puddle jumper. Like her sister has a small personal jet, right? She has a very wealthy sister who owns a private jet. Yes. A wealthy sister that owns a private jet. Just remember that. Yes. Yeah, and one slip up and he's back in custody. So this is what I have for right now. No, the sister that owns a private jet is not a fundie. She left that world. 3 of her sister siblings have left that world. So she has options. So I'm going to get going. Thank you guys so much for waiting. I'm so sorry it took me so long. I want to keep this sort of short so it's not super long. I appreciate all of your super chats, for all of the new members, for everyone that that contributed and who donated and became members today. Thank you guys so much. I will have more soon as I'm able to digest and put this all together in my brain. I hope Anna leaves to protect her children. Thank you for the updates. And I hope that this gives people courage to get out of bad situations. Yes. You don't have to stay in any situation. I think sometimes in this situation, the worst thing you could do to tell Anna is that she can't leave. No, Anna, you can leave. There are options. You don't have to stay. And it's really better if you just left after everything I've heard today. All right, I'll be back later with more. Bye, guys.